Every single Friday, for 12 years, she stood outside the same prison gate with flowers in her hands. But the day he finally walked free, he looked at her and said, "Why are you still here?" The rainy night. Rain poured heavily across the empty streets of New York City. A young man named Ethan ran through the storm with blood on his shirt and fear in his eyes. Police sirens screamed behind him. He stopped under a flickering streetlight and looked at his shaking hands. "I didn't kill him," he whispered, but nobody believed him. Not the police, not the court, not even his own friends. Only one person stayed. A girl named Lily, the same girl who once dreamed about marrying him. Before everything broke, years earlier, Ethan and Lily were inseparable. They worked small jobs, shared cheap coffee, and spent nights talking about the future. They had nothing, but they had each other. One evening, Ethan held Lily's hands near the river and smiled. "One day, I'll buy you a house far away from all this noise." Lily laughed softly. "I don't care about the house. I just want you." That night became the happiest memory of their lives. Because only 3 weeks later, everything collapsed. The murder. Ethan worked late at a warehouse owned by a wealthy businessman named Victor Hale. Victor was feared by everyone. Corrupt, violent, dangerous. That night, Victor was found dead, and Ethan was standing beside the body. The police arrested him immediately. In court, every piece of evidence pointed toward Ethan. Witnesses lied, security footage disappeared, and Ethan was sentenced to life in prison. As officers dragged him away, he searched the crowd desperately. Then he saw Lily crying. "I'll come back for you," he shouted. But deep inside, he knew his life was over. Everyone left except her. Months passed, then years. Ethan's family stopped visiting. Friends disappeared. Letters became fewer and fewer, until only one person remained. Every Friday morning, Lily waited outside the prison gates, sometimes under burning heat, sometimes in freezing snow, sometimes in heavy rain, holding flowers, waiting for just 5 minutes to see him. The prison guards started recognizing her. One old guard once asked, "Why do you still come here after all these years?" Lily smiled sadly, "Because nobody waits for innocent people anymore." Inside the prison destroyed Ethan slowly. Fights, isolation, pain. Every day felt endless. At night, he would stare at the ceiling, remembering Lily's smile. But after years passed, even he began losing hope. One day during visitation, Ethan looked at Lily through the glass. Her face looked older now, tired, exhausted, yet her eyes still carried the same love. Ethan lowered his head. "Stop wasting your life on me," he said quietly. Lily shook her head. "You're still alive. So my hope is still alive too." The secret truth. One night, an old retired detective watched Ethan's case on television. Something felt wrong. The detective reopened old evidence privately, and then he discovered the truth. Victor Hale had been killed by his own business partner. The entire case had been manipulated. The police were bribed. Witnesses were paid. Ethan had been innocent the entire time. 12 years later, the prison gates finally opened. Ethan stepped outside slowly. The world felt unfamiliar. Cars looked different. Buildings had changed. Everything moved on without him. Then he saw her, Lily, standing in the same place, holding flowers, just like always. Ethan froze, his eyes filled with tears. "Why are you still here?" he whispered. Lily smiled through tears. "Because I promised I would wait." Ethan broke down crying for the first time in years. People walked past them. Cars moved. Rain began falling again, but for that moment, nothing else existed except them. 3 months after Lily's funeral, Ethan found an old hidden letter under her hospital bed. But the final sentence inside that letter completely destroyed him. 3 months had passed since Lily's death. The small white house near the river felt cold and silent. Ethan barely slept anymore. Every room reminded him of her. Her favorite cup still sat near the kitchen window. Her sweater still carried her perfume, and every night, Ethan replayed her final smile inside his mind. One rainy evening, he sat alone holding Lily's photograph. "You waited for me, but I couldn't save you." Tears rolled silently down his face. For the first time in years, Ethan felt truly alone. The next morning, Ethan received a call from the hospital. A nurse spoke softly. "Mr. Ethan, Lily left something for you." His heart stopped. Hours later, Ethan arrived at the hospital. The same hospital room where Lily took her final breath now stood empty. The nurse handed him a small old box. Inside it were dozens of letters, carefully tied together with a faded white ribbon. Ethan's hands trembled. "What is this?" The nurse smiled sadly. She wrote 1 letter for you every year while you were in prison. Ethan froze. 12 letters. 12 years of pain. 12 years of love. That night, Ethan opened the first letter. The paper looked old and slightly damaged. Lily's handwriting covered every page. Dear Ethan, today is your first month in prison. Everyone says I should move on, but they don't understand something. My heart already chose you. Ethan began crying immediately. As he kept reading, he realized something painful. Every single letter described how hard her life became after he went to prison. She worked 2 jobs. She sold her jewelry. Sometimes she barely had enough money to eat. But she never stopped waiting for him. Never. Ethan continued reading through the letters for hours. Then he discovered a shocking truth. Lily had secretly paid lawyers for years trying to reopen his case. She spent all her savings trying to prove his innocence. Even when doctors diagnosed her cancer, she used most of her treatment money for Ethan's legal investigation. Ethan covered his mouth, shaking uncontrollably. No, Lily. Why would you do this? Then he opened the final letter, the last words she ever wrote. Ethan unfolded the final paper slowly. Tears blurred his vision. Dear Ethan, if you are reading this, it means I'm probably gone. His breathing became heavier. I know you will blame yourself after my death, but promise me something. Don't spend your life mourning me. Ethan cried harder. Then he reached the final lines. You once told me I saved your life, but the truth is, loving you was the only thing that made my life worth living. Ethan completely broke down. The letter slipped from his hands as he cried uncontrollably on the floor. The next evening, Ethan walked to the river where they once dreamed together. The rain fell softly across the water. Ethan held Lily's letters close to his chest. For a long moment, he said nothing, then finally whispered, I couldn't protect you, but I promise, your love will never disappear. At that moment, the wind carried one of Lily's letters into the air. Ethan chased it desperately. When he caught it, he noticed something written on the back, a sentence he had never seen before. Live enough for both of us. Ethan stared at the words while crying silently. Months later, Ethan transformed the small white house into a free shelter for lonely women and children. On the front sign, he placed a simple name, Lily's Home. People slowly began arriving. Broken families, homeless mothers, children with nowhere to go. And for the first time since Lily's death, Ethan finally smiled again, because even though she was gone, her love was still saving people. One sunset evening, Ethan sat near the river watching the sky turn orange. He looked at Lily's old photograph and whispered softly, You waited for me for 12 years. Now I'll spend the rest of my life making sure your love never dies. The wind moved gently through the trees, and somehow, Ethan no longer felt alone. Some people leave this world, but their love stays behind forever. Ethan was sitting by the river. A soft wind was blowing, and the sun was slowly setting. In his hands he held Lily's letters, the same letters that broke him inside, but also taught him how to live again. He looked up at the sky and said softly, Sometimes we think we lose someone, but in reality, they teach us how to live. For a moment, everything felt silent. Only the sound of the river could be heard. Ethan took a deep breath and said, Lily, you made me wait for 12 years, but you also taught me that love is not just about staying together, it is about sacrifice. Moral of the story. This story teaches us that true love never ends. Sometimes the ones we think are weak are actually the strongest. No matter how much time passes, truth and love always survive. And most importantly, we should never ignore someone's sacrifice. Ethan slowly stood up and walked along the river. But he was no longer the broken man he used to be. He had become someone who was rebuilt through pain. Final emotional line. Some people don't come into our lives to break us. They come to teach us how to live forever. Channel outro. If you watched this video till the end, thank you so much. And if you love emotional, heart-touching, and storytelling content like this, make sure to stay connected with our channel. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon so you never miss our latest videos. We are bringing many more emotional and viral stories for you. Coming soon, more shocking and emotional stories. See you in the next video. Goodbye.